Hello and welcome to a supplementary recording about Christ consciousness and the Christian religion as it is known on Earth's surface. So ordinarily, I try very hard to make a distinction in Lessons for Full Spectrum Humans between Christ consciousness, the galactic or cosmic being, and the Christian religion and the doctrine of the Christian religion. And I've made it very clear that when I speak about Christ consciousness, I am speaking about a galactic perspective, an entity that is so large that our entire galaxy, and I'm just drawing a little galaxy here with the arms spinning outward like this, and each arm would be comprised of billions and billions and billions of little tiny stars, that the galactic entity of Christ, this would be like the brain of that entity. So first of all, it is a being that is so large that it is hard to even conceive of it from the viewpoint of an Earth surface dwelling human. And also the time scale is so different. A being on the level of the galaxy would live for billions of years, thereby making it very difficult to keep a conversation going with a little tiny being like who might live on the surface of Earth right now, who has a lifespan of a mere 100 years. It would be like the difficulty of keeping up a conversation between yourself and a fruit fly, which only has a lifespan of 24 or 36 hours, that before if you ask it a question, before it even has a chance to answer, it is dead according to your time scale. So I'd also like to draw your attention to some of the pieces of artwork that I have here that I have chosen for very specific reasons. So this painting over here is actually entitled The True Face of Christ. And I'll move it around so you can see it a little better. This is a detail of a piece which is hexagonal. I think you can see the edge of the canvas there. And it is pretty much a depiction of the indigo chakra. So when we're talking about Christ consciousness, we're talking about the brow chakra. This is associated with the color of indigo and the location of the brow on the human body. It is the sixth chakra of the body. So if we count going up from the base of the spine, right down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So it's the sixth chakra. And here in this painting, we have a very clearly depicted six-pointed star. Also, this is the same shape as a Merkaba, or light body vessel. Also, this is the same shape as a water crystal or a carbon atom. And this is not by accident that the number 6 has a huge impact on the cellular structure of our organic life. So when I perceive this galactic-sized entity over here, it looks like this. And this is perception through direct insight on an abstract level, as opposed to the anthropomorphic level. So seeing on the abstract level means that I have engaged my crown chakra. And the crown chakra is, I'm enlarging this so you can see, this violet chakra right here. So this is crucial energetic anatomy to understand, and once I go through this energetic anatomy, I will then get to the story of Jesus, or Yeshua, the historical figure who walked in Judea, and his female companion and partner, Mary, also known as Mary Magdalene, and how in order to understand true Christianity, we have to understand this partnership between divine feminine and divine masculine. So first, we just need to look at the energetic anatomy right over here. You have these two chakras, and they are at perpendicular associations, meaning that this indigo chakra here you can see this is almost like a lens over here. That lens is created by spinning energy in this direction, and it spins around like this, okay? And at the same time, you have the violet chakra, and the violet chakra is this over here, which you can see is at a perpendicular angle to the indigo chakra. And this creates a gyro-stabilizing effect. Just in the same way, if you have a helicopter has the helicopter blades at the top, and then at the back, if this is the helicopter, at the back, you have the rotor, and the rotor is at 90-degree angles to the helicopter, and this causes the entire vehicle to be stabilized. When you activate this brow chakra over here, it is also necessary to activate the crown chakra in order to stabilize the brow chakra. This is also like saying once you activate the Christ chakra, you have not completed the journey. It is necessary to also activate the crown chakra so that you are directed in your inner vision. This purple or violet chakra is like the sensitive needle inside of a compass. And the indigo chakra is like the housing that protects the sensitive inner compass and listens to the impulses from the inner compass, because it is that sensitive apparatus that tells us in which direction is God. Where is the source? Sometimes the source might be located over here, it might be located over here. It's constantly moving and shifting. And so the crown chakra is like a compass or an antenna that helps us to tune in. If God is over here, it helps us to tune in. If God is over here, it helps us to tune in. So this interplay of the energy body should be expressed properly in the experience on the anthropomorphic or human level. Now let's get to the historical Jesus, all right? Wonderful. So many people wonder, was there even a person named Jesus? What is the truth? What really happened? Well, I'm sharing with you now my experience, my personal perception, and certainly like to leave room for other people's perception and not just dictate reality to you. It is my understanding that there was indeed a historical figure named Yeshua, close to Joshua, who lived in Judea about 2,000 years ago. And I know this from direct insight because I was there, and I experienced not only being Yeshua, but also being his partner, who was Mary. Yes, Mary Magdalene was his female romantic partner and also twin flame or soul partner, and also equal partner in disseminating information and teaching here on the planet. So let's talk now about the idea of an avatar. Avatar, this comes from Sanskrit, avatar, and it means one who has come across waters. So if you can imagine this cosmic sea of waters, and an avatar, according to the original concept and description, is a container. A container, like a drinking vessel, that water can be poured into and be experienced in the physical realm. So Yeshua was an avatar for Christ consciousness. This larger overarching entity has at times distilled its consciousness and its essence into a form that can actually be translated into a physical or anthropomorphic structure. And this is very challenging because this galactic being is so large and so multifaceted and complex that human-sized neurology is not adequate to fully contain those levels of consciousness. So what you end up getting are what I describe as nested consciousness, where you have the overarching entity, the galactic brain, and the galactic brain speaks through conduits, and those conduits are nested consciousnesses. So they contain a portion or a facet of the whole and of the totality. Jesus is the translation of Yeshua's name much later in history. When Yeshua was on earth, he studied with many living masters and many non-living posthumous masters or ascended masters who basically transmitted what is held as mystery information, the schools of the ancient mystery tradition, such as what came out of ancient Egypt and also areas of Great Britain. That these cultures, and I'm speaking about like the tradition of the Druids, these cultures held secrets of cellular regeneration, long life, healing, and we could call it immortality, or we could call it conscious death, or how to consciously transfer your consciousness between bodies, between lifetimes. This is what the masters of the Far East have learned to cultivate. This is actually information that comes to us as a vestige from ancient Atlantis, how to have continuity of consciousness between lives. And it has to do with cultivating your awareness during your day and cultivating your breath and the connection to the body during the day, so that just like some of the yogis and masters of the Far East, at a certain point, you can choose to consciously slow down your breathing, slow down your heart rate, and exit the body without a loss of knowing who you are, and then enter into your next incarnation with continuity of consciousness, meaning that you remember where you came from. And this is the journey that beings like the 17th Karmapa have undergone. They have cultivated their consciousness, and for 17 generations or incarnations, they have been able to consciously exit the body and enter into their next world. So the historical Jesus, Yeshua, traveled to the Far East and actually learned these techniques that were being kept alive by the masters of that world. And that was a time when this information was not allowed to be public, because it was being actively squashed. So if these secrets and traditions about self-cultivation, cultivating the body, and cultivating long life and immortality were, for example, written in a book or created into some formalized school of learning, if the authorities of the time found out about it, of course, it would be squashed. So all of this was done in secret. And Yeshua had a female partner that was not only his romantic partner, but also his intellectual equal. And they worked together in order to share the information that comes from this cosmic or galaxy-sized being. So here's another way of saying this, that Christ consciousness is a galactic or stellar or non-terrestrial entity. And in order for that entity to even be contained within like the corporeal structure of a physical human, that physical human had to be changed. And I get into this in a lot of the teachings in Lessons for Full Spectrum Humans, but this is about what happened to the human genetic code, why humans were degraded from their original beautiful format in Atlantis, where everyone was a light eater with full psychic faculties and who did not age on a cellular level. Those beings were changed into the beings that now inhabit the surface of the earth. And there was a loss of levels of consciousness. When the genes were changed, humans were cut off from their direct connection to source. It's like if you could imagine a black cloud coming between you and the sun and making it impossible for information to come through. So in order to cultivate consciousness on the surface of Earth, these avatars were occasionally sent down. In the same way that one inoculates a petri dish with the organisms one wishes to cultivate. And that's what culture means, to cultivate. So humanity, in terms of consciousness, was going far afield from where it needed to be, and these avatars have been sent down in order to give examples, living energetic and vibratory examples of how to live. So Krishna is one example of an avatar that was sent down and is associated with this brow chakra and level of Christ consciousness. And after I do this, I'm going to get into some of the corruption of what has happened, because we have Krishna of the Hindu tradition of the Far East, but we do not have anti-Krishna. So this is part of the age that we have just exited, the age of Pisces, and this is also an age of the externalized authority figure and the age of duality. So now I'm going to get into information that I hope will clarify quite a lot. After this avatar was created, a human-sized container for consciousness with 2 arms and 2 legs, that the waters of this lovely galactic being could be poured into this Jesus-shaped avatar. But I've just told you that Jesus did not act alone, that Jesus had his female companion, Mary. So first of all, Jesus's mother, Mary, had to be changed on a cellular level just in order to be able to contain the avatar as a fetus and give birth to it. That's what's known as the Assumption. And we would understand that process in today's language as in vitro fertilization from targeted genetic manipulation from extraterrestrial and extra-dimensional entities, creating this avatar-friendly container. And the understanding of the event when Jesus was baptized at age 12, and it is said that the spirit of consciousness descended upon him, the dove of peace descended upon him. I myself am a walk-in, so I would say that is analogous to the moment of walking in, when the temporal ego that had been grown in that body up to age 12 left, making room for the higher consciousness state or higher consciousness identity that is Christ to come into the avatar container that was known as Yeshua. And when they melded, it created a hybrid, which is the being who became the teacher to humanity. But one of the teachings is that we live in partnership. We have, a dyad of male and female. So the first thing is that when this container had consciousness come into it, it might have been a male container, but the consciousness that came into it was of divine feminine nature. And then in order to have the complement, that person partnered up with a female container, female anthropomorphic form that contained the divine male consciousness. All right, so these are like complementary. And I'll also give you another way of understanding it, that this galactic being also poured itself into this female divine avatar container. And then when these two beings exchanged energy, which is what love is, love, the tone of unconditional love, let's make it green for a love color between their two hearts. That bond of love is a tone, literally, like when you sing a tone, la. That tone is created by the equal exchange of energy between these two partners. And this is why partnership is necessary. It's like saying it takes 2 people to have a game of tennis or ping pong. You need to be able to have some partner to bounce that energy back and forth. So it was my experience and is my understanding that these beings acted in partnership during their corporeal life in order to share information with the world. And now I'd like to get more into my direct seeing, my direct perception of what happened, okay? So let me clear a little bit of room here. I'm recording this on Good Friday, and it is right around the time when it is said that Christ was crucified, or the historical Jesus was crucified, containing, the structure of Christ within that body. And my direct seeing helps me to understand that Christ is actually still being crucified. That this also comes from my experience of walking in, which was a death experience. It is the understanding that the last moment of a person's life can stretch into infinity. It can stretch as long as it needs to stretch. And this concept was also explored in the movie The Last Temptation of Christ. The idea that in the last moment of death, as Christ is on the cross, that within this mind, in here, a dream opens up. I'm trying to draw this, like if you can understand this as the emanation out of this mind, like a thought bubble coming out of this mind in that last moment. And in that last moment is all of the past 2,000 years of history. And I'm going to draw a little timeline here because we even conveniently begin, look at that. Everything before that, this is the year 0. And everything before that is before Christ. And everything after that is after death. We have conveniently placed this in our calendrical system. Please stay with me on this. This is the idea that I'm going to draw a little earth. All of the past earthly events of the past 2,000 years have been the dream within the mind of this person, Christ, Yeshua, while he's on the cross. And that all of the little tiny people, look, I'm making little tiny black dots all here on this little planet. All of those little tiny people are actually inhabitants of the dream of this person. The dreamer is Jesus Christ on the cross in his last agonized moment, dying. And that last moment has been stretched out into, or telescoped out into all of the events that we have experienced in history up into the present moment. And every single person that has lived is like a shard of the consciousness of this entity. Good people and bad people. Everybody is a shard of Jesus Christ on the cross. This is my understanding, that literally we are living within the dream of this being, and that is how I can understand that everything is a creation and an emanation of this being. All food, drink, oxygen, and experience is an emanation of this being. And we may also understand now, how can we interpret this timeline? The past 2,000 years or so have been a lot of turmoil. Let's put 2012 over here. Not that it's 2012, but I consider that to be a breaking point. Or let's say 2001. There we go. From the year 0 to the year 2001. That all of the events of human history during that time have been this person coming to understand itself better. And this goes further because this being did indeed procreate and did create genetic offspring who have become all of these little people that occupy the surface of Earth. So the Da Vinci Code was a movie that helped to open people's belief systems, use the crowbar and pry open people's belief systems a little bit to not only understand and accept a Jesus Christ figure who had a female companion, and understanding that was sanitized from the historical record and sanitized from the Christian religion itself. And I'll get into the Christian religion as a tool for domination and control. But first we need to know, where does it come from? And so this person here, who was or is concurrently on the cross, has various aspects of their personality. And they went through all of these experiences to learn about themselves. And this galactic-sized being up here, this big giant brain, it's not a perfect being. There's conflict. There's inner conflict. There's this area of the Orion star system over here that's actually in conflict with this area of this part of this galaxy. They've been fighting it out for eons. This fight is actually what created Satan. Is actually what created, and when I say Satan, I am talking about negative, lower vibrational entities that occupy the interstices between dimensions, and that do not have the capacity to feed off of pure love, but who do feed off of negative, denser emotions such as sadness and grief and sorrow. And they have infected humanity, and they have farmed humanity for negativity. So when I describe something as being satanic, it is meant to elicit negativity, or meaning farmed for negativity. And the satanic beings that exist within this galactic brain, they exist because there's conflict within this brain. So this galaxy poured itself like a glass of water into this container of consciousness over here, and this container of consciousness in the crucifixion experience created this whole 2,000-year-long time bubble within which this conflict is being explored. And this conflict is the expression of human history, is the expression of war, is the expression of the development of the Christian religion as a doctrine for mind control and diminishing people's direct contact to the source. So before I was telling you that in your energetic anatomy over here, in order to have your connection to the source, it means that you must have this brow chakra respects the information that comes from the crown. All right? The male brow chakra respects the information that comes from the divine female crown chakra. It's like saying the crown chakra has the steering wheel and tells the brow where to go. It's like saying the crown chakra, the female, the divine feminine, is the librarian of the universe that tells the brow chakra which books to read. Because if you read the wrong books out of order, that can give you a very distorted view of what the world is like. But notice that the Christian religion has sanitized out the divine feminine principle and focused everything on just being at the level of the brow. This also cuts people off from abstract perception. The anthropomorphic perception remains, but the abstraction is cut off. And it is at the level of the abstraction where information is really presented empirically and with less distortion than at the anthropomorphic level. Now let me get into the distortions of the Christian religion itself. So this beautiful overarching entity of the galaxy is actually a very unconditionally loving entity. And there are emanations, sub-entities of that entity now. Let's make this little blue cross over here the representative of Jesus Christ, the person that the Christian religion describes in scriptures. And let's put over here this little symbolic version of a devil or a demonic or an antichrist form. And this is duality. This is the struggle of duality, an endless struggle between two partners, good versus evil, light versus dark. And the reason why this is not desirous is because this endless tug of war keeps you focused on the tug of war and the battle and prevents you from actually being able to connect to God and to Source. And both of these two aspects of consciousness are not Christ. Christ is this overarching galactic consciousness. And so the Jesus that people are praying to on Sunday in church is this Jesus. He is a false astral construct. This is the Jesus of the patriarch, the one that says, if you are a good girl, I'll let you into heaven. If you are a good person, then you will get what you deserve. You must suffer before you get what you deserve. Listen to an external authority figure. Don't listen to God directly. And that is simply the other side of the coin of this Antichrist, which is considered the opposite of this. And when we have these two forces in opposition, all we have is endless duality and endless struggle. This is being played out on Earth right now in the galactic presence, the extraterrestrials and extradimensionals that have been impacting human culture for a very long time and that are really becoming much more overt. This has to do with planetary ascension and completing this cycle of this person who is here essentially in their death journey. And first of all, it is my understanding that this person has not yet ascended, and that when this person ascends, all of the members of his dream are also going to ascend. And that means that all of these beings that live in the galaxy and our star brothers and sisters are also going to ascend. So this means consciousness is becoming aware of itself and is raising its vibration on a mass level. The Christian religion itself has distorted this process in order to hijack your consciousness and feed false ideas. But in the end, the true light of Christ is uncontrovertible. You can recognize it no matter what. And you'll find out that it is you.